invisible woman. And what that means is that the woman has somehow become invisible throughout time. And it's caused by two things. One, the narrative is dictated by the media. Two, the women who are buying into the media also tell the same stories to their kids and their daughters. And so we decide that women were really not that powerful. Now, I am not saying that the women needed to be CEOs and powerful leaders or in battlefields to be celebrated. I'm actually saying the opposite. I'm saying that every time a soldier walked out on the battlefield, a mother gave him a hug. Every time someone stepped into the Oval Office, that man could not walk when he was a toddler. And there was a woman holding his hand. And that enough is a value to be celebrated. We're not talking about celebrating and recognizing women that were powerful on society's standards. We're recognizing them and celebrating them for how powerful they already are. Now let's flash forward to now, because as we understand now, based on this discussion, that we are looking at the media to tell us what history is. So now we have all this education. We have a lot of resources all over the world. Women are reaching all these different heights. So let's think about what the media is showing the world and what generations after us will see about who we were. There were two shows on main television recently, about a year ago. One starred Gina Davis, and she was the President of the United States. The show was called Head of State. Have you watched it? How many? Ooh, few women, because it was canceled. Who's going to watch that? Then there was a show with Jennifer Beal. Do you remember that, when she was the superintendent of the police force in Chicago? Canceled. Didn't make it through its first season. How many women here have heard of The Real Housewives? How many women have heard of Baywatch? That's reality. That is the history we are creating for our daughters. And we're allowing this to happen on our watch, after all our resources and all our education. You know, I want to celebrate what women have done, but I also want to take a critical look at how much work we have to do and really step up to our responsibilities. Women in so many parts of the world and in so many different ways are actually the main reason why families and foundations exist in the world. What did we see in Egypt recently? Tons of women politically mobilized, leading the marches. Villages in Sudan, villages in Somalia. Think about the images you've seen, even if it's of poverty. There's always a woman in that image, because that is their reality. That depicts exactly what their life is like. Women are the main leaders. They are carrying the water, they're being gang raped and surviving, they're holding down the fort, they're getting the food from the fields, and the images show that. So the challenge before us is, are we going to remain invisible? Or are we going to create our own narratives? You know, before I close with this huge challenge ahead of us, and I'm very confident that we can rise to the challenge, Tanisha gave a little bit of a background with my law practice, and I want to share this information with the graduates and the women that are winning these awards, because you are very inspiring and doing incredible things. Nothing in life I have learned that is worthy of creating to a higher level comes easy. The challenges are actually there for you to grow. Every closed door is an arrow for you to open the right door. I was student body president in law school. I was student body president in undergrad. I was student body president in high school. I have a leadership complex. No, I don't. It had to be done. There's things that need to be done. I'm not going to waste time convincing people, right? You have to do it. And then I graduated from law school, and I had all these professors and deans at my wedding. And here's Maaria, getting married, and she's graduated. And you've all heard of the bar exam. I'm sure everyone leaps for joy when they talk about it. So I took the bar exam, and I failed. And I failed by just a few points. It was enough of an indication to me that I needed to take it again. So I took it again, and I failed. And usually, second or third time, you got to get a clue. Someone's telling you something that you are not an expert in this field, and you're not supposed to be here, and you should find your true calling. Well, I had an instinct inside me, and I think all of you do as well, of what your purpose is and what you're passionate about. So I don't think I'm just going to stop at 2. So I took it a third time, and I failed. And this is by a few points, so I just want you to understand. By the way, I had very good grades in law school. I was very good at what I did. But guess what? I did not accept that a lawyer who advocates for others is going to be taking multiple choice tests. It didn't make sense in my world, so I could not excel on the test. I took it a third time, I failed. I took it a fourth time, I failed. I took it a fifth time, and this is by the time I was knocking on the doors of legislators, because I got to keep helping people while I'm supposed to be doing this. And then the fifth time, I called the Board of Admissions president, and I said, listen, I don't know if you're going to lunch or if you're walking to your car. This is exactly what I said to him. I said, I need to come down, and I need to meet you in person. So, who knows what I was going to bring down with me. And he said, okay, fine, never call me back. So I wrote him a long letter about everything that I had done and everything that I had accomplished, and I just could not pass this multiple choice test, by a few questions. It wasn't even a huge gap or anything. And then I called him again. I said, I wrote you this long letter. And he said, I got your letter. I read it. We shared it with the Board of Admissions. Our hands are tied. You got to pass the exam. I took it a sixth time, and I passed. And now I have my own law practice. The reason why I share that story is because that struggle and that process was the biggest gift of my life. It taught me, A, never accept what an expert tells you of what you can do and what you cannot do. B, persistence, 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 persistence. And C, it feels so good when you win at the end.